What if the soul doesn't just leave, but listens? 2 months after death, when the rituals have faded and the world begins to move on, something unexpected happens beyond the veil. The soul, now lighter, more awake, and no longer tethered by form, begins to hear echoes. Not just memories, but living frequencies that reach it across dimensions. Echoes from loved ones, from unfinished stories, from the great currents of the spirit world itself. Today, we're going to explore a hidden truth few ever speak of, the echoes from the beyond that the soul begins to hear around the 2nd month. After its departure, these are not whispers of the past. They are calls from the eternal, guiding, reminding, sometimes even awakening the soul to a deeper cosmic reality. What it hears changes everything. In this video, I'll reveal what these echoes are, where they come from, and how they might even be reaching you right now, especially if you've recently lost someone you love. Stay with me until the end, because these echoes may hold the answers you've been longing for, and perhaps the message your soul needs to remember. Around the 2nd month after death, the soul begins to hear a sound it couldn't quite perceive before. The vibration of words never spoken, feelings never shared, truths that remained locked in the hearts of those still living. This is the echo of unspoken words, a frequency that reverberates through the space between the living and the dead. It is not loud, but it is powerful. Regrets, withheld forgiveness, confessions of love, left unsaid, all of it begins to ring like distant chimes in the soul's awareness. Why now? Because by the 2nd month, the soul has shed many earthly veils. It no longer clings to ego or pain. Its listening becomes pure. It hears with the heart of spirit. These echoes are not judgments, but invitations. Invitations to understand, to forgive, to complete what was left incomplete. And sometimes they come not from others, but from within the soul itself. Words it wished it had said, gratitude it never expressed, closure it longed for. For those still living, this is often the time when emotions surface without clear cause. You may feel the urge to speak to someone who's no longer there, to write a letter you'll never send, or to suddenly cry for reasons you can't explain. These are not random, they are soul-level communications, echoing both ways. The soul hears you, and if you listen in return, you may hear them too, in dreams, in silence, in the spaces between your thoughts. The echo of unspoken words reminds us, nothing truly goes unheard. In the realm of the soul, every truth still seeks to be known. At 2 months beyond the veil, the soul begins to perceive the echo of impact, a reverberation, not of sound, but of energetic consequence. It begins to feel the waves that its life sent rippling out into the world, both visible and invisible. This echo is subtle, yet profound. It carries the vibration of every life it touched, every gesture that mattered, every ripple that continued. Even after death. In life, we rarely see the full reach of our presence. But the soul now listens to the aftersounds of its existence. The way a word of encouragement kept someone going, how a simple act of kindness became a memory someone clings to, or how a single mistake planted hurt that still lingers. The soul does not judge, it feels. This echo brings a deeper awareness. I mattered more than I knew. This is also the moment when the soul begins to sense the energetic threads, still active, promises unfulfilled, influences still unfolding, even decisions others are making in response to its departure. And in some rare cases, this echo awakens the soul's first mission beyond death, to send clarity, protection, or healing toward those still influenced by its earthly life. For the living, this echo may manifest as sudden memories or insights about the one who has past, realizations about how they shaped you or how their absence changed your path. You may feel their presence in moments of decision, as if something deep within you still listens for their guidance. That's because they are listening, too, The echo of impact is a mirror held up from beyond, reminding us that no life is insignificant. And every soul leaves behind a living resonance. By the second month beyond the physical realm, the soul becomes attuned to something it once only faintly sensed during life. The echo of soul contracts. These are the deep, pre-incarnational agreements it made with other souls, some fulfilled, some still in motion, and some left incomplete. The soul now hears these echoes rising from the tapestry of existence, calling it to remember why it chose the life it just lived. These contracts are not rigid destinies, but spiritual promises, lessons to be learned together, pain to be shared and transmuted, growth to be catalyzed through love, loss, or even conflict. At this portal, the soul begins to perceive who is truly a soulmate, a karmic mirror, a helper in disguise, or even a challenger placed for evolution. And some echoes carry a soft ache, reminding the soul of bonds that were broken too soon, or missions that were abandoned along the way. But these echoes are not accusations, they are reminders. In this phase, the soul may begin to communicate energetically with other souls still incarnated, gently nudging them toward awareness, closure, or even reunion in a future lifetime. It may also receive new insight from its spiritual guides, clarifying what was completed and what remains. For the living, this echo can trigger strange inner awakenings, intuitive realizations about people in your life, sudden shifts in relationships, or feelings that someone who passed is helping you make important emotional decisions. These sensations are real. They are ripples from soul-level agreements, echoing across dimensions. The echo of soul contracts teaches that life is not random. We are bound to one another by invisible threads, and the soul hears their music long after the body has fallen. Silent. By the second month after leaving the physical world, the soul's awareness begins to stretch beyond its most recent incarnation. In this expanded state, it begins to hear the echo of past lives, remembered faint but unmistakable tones, rising from the soul's eternal archive. These echoes do not come in words, but in recognition, like hearing a song you once knew by heart in another lifetime. The soul may begin to feel fragments of other selves, a voice it once had, a loss it once endured, a joy that still radiates across time. And more importantly, it begins to understand how those previous lives shaped the most recent one, why certain fears clung so tightly, why some people felt instantly familiar, why certain patterns repeated again and again. These echoes are keys unlocking the continuity of the soul's story. Sometimes, the soul is shown moments it must finally integrate, gifts it once had but forgot, traumas it still carries in its energy field. It may even be visited by aspects of its own former selves, offering healing or wisdom as it prepares for the next stage. This isn't confusion, it's recollection. The soul does not get smaller in death. It expands. For the living, this echo can manifest as intense dreams, déjà vu, or spontaneous feelings of connection to times, places, or cultures that make no logical sense. Some may even feel a strange relief, as if the one who passed has now returned to who they were meant to be. That feeling is true. The soul is remembering itself. The echo of past lives reminds us, your story did not begin at birth, and it does not end at death. You are more ancient than you know. And the soul, 2 months after crossing, begins to hear that truth. Clearly. At 2 months beyond the veil, the soul begins to hear something unexpected. Not a memory, not a farewell, but a summons. A vibration that doesn't pull it backward, but forward. This is the echo of the next calling, the soul's first whisper of what lies beyond its current transition. It may come as a frequency of purpose, a song of becoming, or a knowing that says, your journey is not over. This echo marks the beginning of the soul's preparation for its next phase, whether that means continuing its work in spirit as a guide, returning to another incarnation, or rising to serve in realms we can barely comprehend. The soul doesn't yet move, but it listens. And in that listening, it begins to remember that every soul has cycles of becoming. Earth is only one of many classrooms. Death is not the graduation, it is a turning of the page. Some souls hear this echo and respond with readiness. Others may hesitate, still clinging to earthly love or seeking completion. But the echo is patient. It will repeat softly, over and over, like a melody in the background of eternity, reminding the soul that it is not finished, only transforming. For the living, this moment can bring sudden peace. You may feel, without knowing why, that your loved one is busy on the other side, that their energy is shifting, that something about their presence has changed. This is no illusion. It is the soul beginning to orient itself toward its next sacred task. The echo of the next calling is the soul's awakening to divine continuity. A gentle reminder from the beyond. Your light still has places to go. 2 months after death, the soul begins to sense something it could only glimpse in fleeting moments during life. A vibration that calls not to purpose, or memory, or karma, but to whom? This is the echo of divine belonging. It is not loud. It does not ask. It simply is. A resonance of peace, of origin, of unity. A feeling that says, you have always belonged, at this stage. The soul starts to remember its true place, not as a body, not even as a personality, but as a luminous thread in the vast tapestry of creation. It feels the pulse of the source from which it came. The soul begins to understand that it was never separate, that all the pain, the searching, the longing of life was the echo of this very truth, that it is, and has always been, held. This echo often softens the soul. Whatever wounds it still carried begin to dissolve in this frequency. Bitterness fades. Regret becomes wisdom. And love expands into something unconditional, no longer tied to names, or faces, or lifetimes, but everywhere, in everything. It is here the soul may rest, not in sleep, but in knowing. I am part of the whole. For the living, this may manifest as a sudden stillness, a moment where grief pauses, and something vast brushes your spirit. You may feel, if only for a breath, that all is well, that your loved one is not lost, but returned. You might not know why you feel it, but you'll know it's true. The echo of divine belonging is the soul's reunion with its origin, a sacred reminder whispered across eternity. You are never alone. You are never apart. By the second month after death, the soul has traveled far from its earthly form, yet one echo remains. It is not from the past, not from spirit realms, not even from the soul itself. It is from you, from those still living, from every thought, every prayer, every act of remembrance that calls across the veil. This is the echo of the living, the only echo that continues without end. No matter how far the soul journeys, it remains sensitive to this living vibration. The love that still speaks its name, the grief that carves space for its memory, the joy felt in remembering who it was, and still is. These living echoes tether the soul, not in chains, but in light. They are reminders that the soul still matters, that its story still moves hearts, that it is still loved. But this echo is not one-directional. When the soul hears your longing, it often responds, not with words, but with presence. A dream, a scent, a quiet moment of peace. The soul becomes a whisper in your thoughts, a touch in your intuition, a warmth in your solitude, because it hears you. Even now. And as the soul hears your living echo, it also begins to send its own messages of peace, of gratitude, of reassurance. These are the feelings that arrive without warning. The goosebumps, the comfort, the knowing that they are near, The echo of the living is the most powerful of all, because it is the one you help shape. Every time you speak their name with love, every time you close your eyes and remember them with light instead of sorrow, the echo reaches them. And they answer, because love is the only sound that crosses every veil. 2 months after death, the soul is no longer confused. It is not afraid. It is listening, not just to angels or memories, but to echoes, subtle, powerful vibrations that reach it across space and time. Echoes of words never spoken, of lives once lived, of soul agreements and divine callings. Echoes of home. And perhaps most powerfully, echoes from you. What happens? After death is not silence, it is symphony. And now you've heard it. The 7 echoes that shape the soul's unfolding 2 months after its final breath. But maybe what matters most is what you do with this knowing. Because if the soul is still listening, what will you say? What thoughts will you choose to send across the veil? Will you speak with love, with peace, with remembrance? Or will you allow the silence to deepen into understanding? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever felt that someone who passed was still hearing you? Have you sensed their presence in ways you couldn't explain? And if this message touched something within you, stay close. Because the soul's journey doesn't end here. And neither does ours.